Hello, 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 everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope you guys can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me okay. Right. Um, this is first, well, I've used this app before, but on a different computer. But my goodness, this everything happening here is like very, very strange. This Melon app, I'm not sure about it, but never mind. We're here and apologize about the oh, you can hear me. Thank you, Philip. Thank you. You're all welcome. So we've got in here, we've got Philip. Philip is here. We've got look out for number one. Look out for number one is here. Steve McRae, manager, is here. Udrak is here. Um, let's see. Hey, Doug. Doug is here too. Parilla time. Marilla time is here. We see you. Uncle Jesus show. The Uncle Jesus show. Omnipresent greetings. I like that. Omnipresent greetings. You're absolutely welcome. Marilla time says you look good. Black don't crack. Okay, right. So guys, very special guest I've got on today. And before I bring my guest on, because I was so excited about this, I was so excited about today's stream, right? And I was thinking, how do I let Carlos know how excited I am to have him on? So, guess what I decided to do? I wrote a song. I wrote a special song uh, for my guests, and hopefully, this would be for all other guests who come on my platform. Philip, I know I did not write this song when you came on. I apologize, but hey, I was inspired today for some reason. So I I'm going to sing my quick song before my guest comes on. So right, enjoy my crooked voice. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. Okay, here we go. Um, right. So where are the lyrics of my song? Never mind. I think I should be able to remember. Okay. You are welcome to the Afro Humanist. You are welcome to the Afro Humanist. As we deconstruct religion, may you have an awesome time. You are welcome to the Afro Humanist. You are welcome to the Afro Humanist. You are welcome. You are welcome to the Afro Humanist. As we deconstruct religion, may you have an awesome time. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome to the Afro Humanist. Carlos. You're welcome, Carlos. Hey,
Wow,
hello.
that was amazing. What a voice
Hey,
you have.
Carlos.
You must have been in a gospel choir.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I can tell.
Absolutely. You are absolutely welcome, Carlos.
Thank you so much.
Finally got you here.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me on. I've been watching your channel. I love the work that you do and helping to normalize atheism. I think you're doing some really good work, and yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Absolutely welcome. And so, Carlos, oh, we're going to have a conversation, and this really is going to be about you. There really is no, we have no set agenda, but the title of the stream says "Living Religion um, Using Philosophy." Now, I left religion. I didn't use philosophy. I um, I thought my way through. I thought my way out of religion. I asked questions. I did research, and philosophy was something that was strange to me. And in my line of work, healthcare, don't think I ever did a philosophy class. And I started meeting people who want to debate philosophy with me. And I'm asking the question, can I not just leave religion for the sake of living religion? Why do I need philosophy, right, to make my way out of religion? But it turns out there are people who work their way out of this whole shenanigans with philosophy, and you happen to be one of them. And we've had conversations on Clubhouse, and I love the sort of things that you talk about. And so, Carlos, first things first, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Yes, my name's Carlos. I'm an atheist. I define my atheism as I have no justification to believing in a god or gods, and therefore I live my life as if they don't exist. I'm 41. Grew up in the UK. I have family from the Caribbean descent, and grew up Catholic. Um, Probably about half of my family is quite religious. I've got a very big family that's spread out throughout the UK, the US, and obviously the Caribbean. Um, so yeah, that's just about myself. And you mentioned earlier that you didn't use philosophy um, to walk away from religion. You just asked your own questions, and to be honest with you, that is kind of philosophy. Even though you don't realize you're doing it, I think we we use philosophy every day in our lives without even realizing it. Every time you reason with yourself, you evaluate the pros and cons of doing something, even when you wake up in the morning. When you debate whether I'm going to wake up or whether I'm going to stay in bed, the reasons. So we do these kinds of things every day. I just like, obviously, if you do a philosophy course, then obviously you understand where your argument fits and how to categorize it and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's something that we do every day. We're just asking questions about the reality that we exist in and our place in it, and it's something that we do every day without realizing. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Interesting. Now, another question I have for you, Carlos, is uh, you've got an interesting picture on your profile. So I think two questions I've got to ask. Number one, I'm sure my guests are going to wonder, how come we can't see Carlos's face? Why have we not got, which is absolutely fine, right? So if you let people know why, and whatever answer you give is absolutely fine, because this is about a conversation. This is about hearing you, not seeing you. Even though you're a handsome young man, I would, I would say that, but it's about hearing you, and also why that picture.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer them in reverse. I mean, I got into. I'll just go back a second. So I did philosophy when I was at school, at A level, and then I went through a period of enjoying life, working hard, and just concentrating on those things. And I didn't really think about like my position of atheism at that. After doing philosophy at school, I became unconvinced of religion and Catholicism, where I came from. And then I went through a period of, as I say, just enjoying life. And at some point, you grow up and you start taking things seriously, like politics and just you just mature, don't you? So I got to a point where I started to read into. I picked up The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, and I found that a fascinating read, and that really sort of set me on the path of sort of going back down the rabbit hole of philosophy again. I read other books of his as well. I think the greatest show on earth, I think it is, or the greatest, yeah, the greatest show on earth, which talks about evolution and the sort of arguments for evolution and why it's accepted by the scientific consensus. Um, and ever since then, I've just been obsessed with knowledge, and reading those books helped me to value truth and want to know as many true things as possible. Um, and because Dawkins is a heavy proponent of Darwin, um, my logo is of Darwin. It's a caricature of Darwin that was done back in the 1800s. There are many done of him, and I've just always liked that picture, so I just decided to pick it. I think it might be a little bit provocative in these sort of theist discussions and stuff, but I've just always liked the picture, so I've decided to pick that.
It's a picture.
Um, Sorry?
It's a picture.
Yeah, yeah. So the caricature of Darwin, obviously with his theory of natural selection, a lot of people would sort of ridicule him because obviously one of his predictions is that we and other apes, or we are apes, and that we share a common ancestor with other like chimpanzees and gorillas and what have you, other primates. So yeah, I've always liked the picture. I've actually got a T-shirt of it as well. So yeah, and the reason I haven't shown my face today instead of my Darwin picture is just because in the last sort of 2, 3 years, I've been going online to like these sort of online streams, these call-in shows, and sort of getting into the debate scene. And I've always sort of held a level of anonymity in this sense. Obviously, people can recognise my voice that um, that go on these streams. But so I guess the logo's kind of become a bit of my identity. I'm not well known, but people do recognise me if they've been on those streams because my picture's quite unique. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, those are the reasons why.
Right. Okay. So, there's a bit of a problem with your microphone. It's a bit like scratching sound. Uh, Not sure why exactly that sound is there, but we'll see how we'll see how we get on.
Is it happening
So
every time I'm talking, or
yeah, it's when you start to talk, it's just like a scratching sound. But I hear you okay, but it's
okay?
just that like a muffled sound. But we'll see how we get on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, did you say you were religious? And
Yeah. So
if you were, how old were you when you realized that it was nothing but uh, a pack of don't want to call them lies, but man-made concepts?
yeah, yeah. I mean, probably I don't can't really pinpoint an actual time when I started to disbelieve. I think it's just a gradual process. You start to ask questions, um, and a lot of the questions I had when I was growing up were just some of the stories in the Bible, because clearly certain stories like Noah's Ark, for instance, just didn't make any sense to me, um, and it would be explained away as metaphorical, and that was sufficient for me at that age. You just sort of um, you accept the answers from your peers and your elders, don't you? So when they explain these types of things away as metaphorical, you just accept that. Um, but obviously, those doubts are always there, and I think as they begin to accumulate, um, it's 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 just a gradual thing, like most things in nature. It's just a gradual thing that happens. It's not like a light bulb moment, not for me anyway. I mean, my parents they're not overly religious, but they do believe in God. and that kind of did help in my journey of moving away, because I didn't have that pressure of my parents to believe, or that they might have thought that I was going to hell if I no longer believed in God. Um, my my mother was the person that sort of took me to church every weekend. Me and my sister. She's 9 years younger than me. And yeah, we would go to church every Sunday. My extended family, when I'd stay with them, we'd go to church. If I go back to the West Indies, we'd go to church there. So it's all very normal for me growing up, and you just accept it to be true. I don't think I really questioned it until, as I say, I took philosophy at A level, and that's when the sort of turning point started to happen for me. Um, I think when it comes to philosophy, it allowed me to actually challenge my own position and learn more about the wider scope of the discussion being had. Because going to a Catholic school, um, the obviously being a Catholic school, they do teach you about other religions, but it's very surface level. There's no sort of true understanding of other religions. It's very much Christianity, Catholicism, um, and centered around that. A lot of the, growing up through secondary school and doing religion, it was always centered around Christianity and Catholicism, and it wasn't. Um, it would also be other things like how to engage, how morals, how societies engage in a moral way, and how to be a better person. All of those kinds of things that you'd expect in an RE class, religious education class. Um, but because it was in that way, there was never it's never something you ever question. It's never something you actually challenge your own beliefs, or I didn't even really know what an atheist was. Um, so yeah, it was it's quite hard to sort of go back and sort of put myself back in those boots where I was religiously minded, because it just makes no sense to me now. And but at the time it did. I was very I was one of those kids growing up where I enjoyed fantasy. I enjoyed making up stories in my head and playing out roles, and I've always enjoyed those types of films as well. So I think maybe from that standpoint, accepting religion um, wasn't really a problem for me. Um, but yeah, I left secondary school and started a new school and did A level there. And I only wanted to do two subjects. I wanted to do business studies and also computer science. And my head of form told me that I needed to do three A levels. I couldn't just do the two, and said I had to pick another subject. So I looked at the list, and I just, to be honest, I just tried to pick the easiest subject, because I only genuinely wanted to do two, and I wasn't really going to put as much effort into it. But philosophy of religion was one of the courses, and I thought, well, okay, that'll be easy. That'll be, um, you know, a good third option. So I took the course, and I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, obviously they give you the course notes, but yeah, it was the first time it was actually, you know, challenged the my own position, and that was obviously a warning before taking the course, is that um, the course is going to be looking at what it means, what the actual true definition of God is, and what the true definition of religions are, the different religions that exist, and to learn a bit more about them, the history of religious thought, um, understanding the main questions that are being asked in that field, and also the arguments for and against. Um, so yeah, it was really just looking at the differences between belief versus evidence, faith versus proof, looking at logic. It did touch upon, because philosophy is quite a large subject, um, and this was specifically philosophy of religion, but they do also cover the basics of philosophy, mainly to do with epistemology. Um, so there's a few main branches of philosophy. Um, Main one would be ontology, the study of what exists, and it normally goes into metaphysics, which is just sort of a sort of under level of physics, and tends to ask questions like the fundamental nature of reality and everything, those types of questions. It also looks at epistemology, which is probably my favorite area. Epistemology is just the study of knowledge, how we come to know things, and also another branch is just sort of ethics and morality and that sort of thing. So those are the three main branches of philosophy, and probably my most interested areas, especially epistemology. So yeah, it looked at reasoning, it looked at logic, and how to apply that. And then as we went throughout the course, we're looking at all the arguments for history of philosophers going back to the Greek times, like Aristotle and Plato, Socrates, and looking a bit further, like at Thomas Aquinas and other religious thinkers. So yeah, so it was such an interesting course, and to be honest with you, Esther, my belief in God actually strengthened at the start of the course, because the
Mm,
start of the course was actually looking at arguments in favor of God first, before then later in the course looking at arguments against. So yeah, and when actually looking at some of the arguments that have been put forward in the like historical arguments, I was actually felt like I was actually, because obviously I had doubts at that stage, but it kind of moved the needle towards me actually believing in God, which was a bit of a shock. Um, so yeah, it's something that obviously isn't taught during the normal school curriculum. It's something that I did at A
mm,
level,
mm.
and yeah, I kind of feel like it would be useful to have this as a normal part of a curriculum
Hmm.
from the start of secondary school, because I think it would help with critical thinking, and all of that sort of thing. So yeah.
Right. Now, before I say anything, Scapegoat Iscariot has kindly suggested that the mic should not be in front of the person. It should be just off to the side, about a 45 or less degree angle. Air hitting the mic will make those sharp noises. So just make sure you're not too close to the microphone. It seems to be,
Is that better? Any better for you? Testing, testing,
that sounds better.
testing. Yeah, I did have the mic a bit close, because sometimes it can be a bit quiet. But if you can't hear me or it sounds bad, just let me know.
Okay, seems to sound a bit better. But hey, guys, we can hear him. Let's just enjoy the session. And now, so you took this philosophy class. You started off. Your faith was strong, which that's what they want you to always have. They want you to always have strong faith. But then it looks like it fell apart as you went on, right? Which usually does, because if you're sincere and you're really asking the questions, religion will fall apart. It will fall apart. It will get to the point where you just cannot uh, 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 it just doesn't make sense anymore. So how old were you when this happened?
So when I took the A levels, I was at the age of 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So before then, as I say, I did have doubts. but I still believed that there was a higher power. Um, I didn't think that this was all for nothing. We're sort of thrown into this reality and we don't quite understand it. And yeah, it's there was a lot there was a lot to think about in terms of the doubts that I was having, but it wasn't really until I did this course that it actually um, allowed me to analyze my own position and actually it's just something I never engaged with. This, just sort of self-reflection and introspection, and sometimes you're convinced of certain things and you don't really think about the reasons why. But this doing this course kind of allowed me to assess those reasons and to see if those reasons were actually reasonable, if they were rational to hold, and do I use the same kind of consistency in other areas of my life, and would I believe other things based on the same rationale, and you know that's ultimately what done it for me, because a lot of the reasons why I believed, when I actually analyzed them, just would, they didn't have any real foundation. I mean, it's an unanswered question. What is the fundamental nature of everything? Um, this is an unanswered question that we all have to face, and it's quite plausible that there is a consciousness at the fundamental nature of everything. There's no logical contradiction with it, and um, people might hold that view for whatever reasons, but when you actually look at the reasons and you dissect them, and like I said, if you apply the same kind of reasoning to other aspects of your life, then you'd be accepting all kinds of absurd notions.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's it was a gradual thing for me, and as I say, I did have doubts, but I still prayed every night, tried to speak to God, and it's kind of it's one of those things that's because it's like when you're a theist and you genuinely believe in God, it's like if you doubt God's existence, it's like you're sabotaging your chances of salvation, right? So if you start to doubt God or ask questions to the contrary, and consider a non-God world, you know, what what implications would that have for me? So there was that kind of worry as well, because I did
Hmm.
genuinely believe that that this is not that this is not everything that there is to life. There's more to life. There's an afterlife. Heaven is something that we should all aspire towards, and that's something that I genuinely believed, and I genuinely tried to communicate with God, and um, I just I didn't know, I didn't get any cues back from God, and I just didn't know, is this how it's supposed to be, but if you're not convinced, you're not convinced, and
Right.
these doubts are always there,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's only when you actually analyze your own positions do you actually then consider that you could be wrong, and I think that's the first step, is just admitting that you could be wrong, and it kind of
Hmm.
follows from there.
So first things first. Apparently, this picture that we have here. Let's see if I can find that comment by Krishna. Krishna says this is him in high school. This picture. I mean, Krishna, I didn't know that this is what you looked like in high school. And the other comment, it was by oh gosh, I'm struggling with this Melon app. Ugh, where is it now? It was by, yes, this one here, by Dark Voices ASMR. That this dude's voice is relaxing. Let me tell you, I completely agree, because many a times I've just sat, well, on Clubhouse. Carlos engages in conversation, and I just would listen. I just go in the room and look and see Carlos is in there. I just hop in there just to go and hear him speak because for some reason his voice just has a very calming factor to it. And that brings me on to my next question. In fact, I got two questions, but one at a time. Uh, so on Clubhouse, you engage in conversations. I've heard a couple of people call you a troll. I don't see you as a troll, but for some reason, it's the Muslims that call you a troll, not so much the Christians. Why is this, Carlos?
Um, I don't know. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Um, I always say claims made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence, which is something said by the late Christopher Hitchens.
Mhm.
It's something that not just religion, any claim that someone makes, unless you actually give me a reason to engage with, to say, oh, Carlos is a troll. Okay, I'll just, I don't, I'm not going to take offense to that. I'll just ask you, why do you think I'm a troll? What have I done that gives you the impression that I'm a troll? You give me your reasons, and then we can analyze the reasons. But if you can't give me a reason, then I'm just going to just dismiss your claim as you don't have any um, actual reason other than what appears to just be an emotional response. So, um, some people have told me that to my face, that they think I'm disingenuous or
Mhm.
whatever. But people react in different ways, and I've had a lot of positive responses from the Muslim community, from the Christian community. So it's just a mixed bag. You get all sorts of people on Clubhouse, and you just have to learn different people's characters and how to deal with them. And it's a skill that I try to uh, refine, because I see it as a challenge. If I have a difficult person that's maybe emotional, or they're being irrational, then um, I try to just take a different approach, or not use the same approach with everyone. I think you just have to gauge the type of interlocutor you're dealing with, and then respond in kind. And um, I don't know why people call me a troll. If I don't think it's that many that I've had
No.
call me to my face anyway. People say things behind closed doors. It doesn't really bother me. I'm not really worried about people's opinions. I'm worried about more about the reasons for people's opinions.
Mhm.
That's what interests me more.
Right. So, can you tell us what exactly is going on in this picture? So, this is Darwin, and Darwin, he is half man, half what's this? Chimp, ape? What's this one now? So, he's half something. So, you reckon you can tell us what exactly is going on in this picture? I know Krishna reckons this is his high school picture. But Krishna, come on, I've seen what you look like. You don't look like this, Krishna. Come on.
Yeah.
So
I
what
mean, I'm sure it was pretty provocative cartoon when I think it was done in the late.
provocative to
Yeah.
who?
Well, obviously back in the late 1800s, when Darwin published his book on the
Mm,
origin of species, obviously there was a lot of backlash. There was a lot of skepticism, because obviously the dominating belief was that we were created by God, Adam and Eve, and you know, if you believe in a literal Adam and Eve, then the theory of evolution is directly contradictory to that. And you, you, well, for not all theists, because some theists do accept evolution and still hold to their beliefs, but I think to believe in a literal Adam and Eve would would contradict your belief if you also accept evolution. And obviously that was the prevailing view. Um, I mean, there were other ideas about evolution preceded Darwin, but he was the one that really championed it, along with Wallace as well. And yeah, so there was obviously a lot of backlash and um, a lot of fun made of Darwin and his ideas until it was accepted by the scientific community. Um, so I think it's kind of ironic now, because obviously one of the predictions that Darwin made is that we share a common ancestor with all other primates and that we're all apes. Um, and this was a prediction that was made before any evidence was actually found, any fossils of human ancestors were found. So, he could have been wrong, but this was a hypothesis he had, and then later on, this was then proven to be true. So I think it's quite ironic. Um, but yeah, I've just always liked the picture. As I say, I've got a T-shirt as well, and yeah, I think obviously Darwin's not, Darwin's ideas were back in the 1800s. Evolution's come on a long way since then. Um, but I don't know if you find this, Esther, but whenever theists talk about evolution, they seem heavily fixated on Darwin for some reason. And they always try to say, oh, Darwin was wrong about this or Darwin was wrong about that. And they feel, and I feel like they think that if they can sort of discredit Darwin in some way, then they can somehow discredit evolution. Uh, so yeah, I think it's just quite ironic. But the picture is it does strike up a bit of fun conversation before I engage with Fierce on Clubhouse. And as I say, I've been engaging mainly on the Muslim streams on YouTube. Um, where they've had call-in shows about different topics like can science prove God, or what is objective morality, atheism entails nihilism. So you have all these interesting subjects, and where they welcome non-believers to go on. And to be honest with you, like I've never done anything like that until recently. I think it was probably around the start of the lockdown. Obviously, we were restricted where we could go, and I found myself going online a lot more in my spare time, and then these streams started to pop up. So yeah, I started to jump on there, and I really hadn't engaged in any kind of debate. I mean, I've obviously done a lot of research to sort of be happy and satisfied with my position as an atheist, but to actually argue for your position and actually, you know, um, give reasons that would convince people why your position is a reasonable position to hold and is a view worth having or worth sharing. Um, so yeah, going on to these streams, I've always had this logo of Darwin, and as I say, it's kind of just stuck with me. So I don't think I'll be getting rid of it anytime soon.
I will show you there's one picture of Darwin that I found, which I quite like. I will show you this here. Just one second. Let me find the picture. Um, right, this particular picture of Darwin, I I I particularly like this one. Can you see it? Oh, hang on. I don't think you can see it. Hang on. Okay, this one. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. That's the one. Can you see it?
Yeah, with an abacus. Lovely. I love it.
I absolutely love this picture, and I think I'm going to get a T-shirt of this particular one. Sorry, Carlos, and sorry, Krishna. I'm not going to use your picture, but I will be using this particular one, right? So yes,
Love it.
right. So on my channel, I speak about religion, especially Christianity. I'm originally from Africa, moved to the UK over 20 years ago. I was introduced to Christianity as an African, and just like yourself, Carlos, I had no idea what an atheist was. I lived in this, bubble of Christianity. You were not allowed to question. You were not allowed to doubt, because if you did that, you were you were preparing yourself to go to hell. And so critical thinking was not something that was encouraged. And so I actively speak on the negative impact of religion, and how it can damage people. I, for one, was introduced to the concept of hell as a youngster. I was 8 years old when we were taken to church and shown movies about hell. We were shown movies like the burning hell. And after the movie is shown, they will then do what they called an altar call, where the person in the front would say things like, if you died in your sleep tonight, where are you going to spend eternity? Now that you have seen that movie and you've seen what's going to happen to you, oh, you don't want to burn. Uh, Better come out and give your life to Christ. And so you see us kids in tears and so fearful. We go out there and we're, giving our lives to Christ because we didn't want to go to this particular place. And so that fear of hell lived with me, right, for a long time. I was afraid that if I died in my sleep, I mean, I suffered really bad insomnia after watching these movies. Even though I'd given my life to Christ during the altar call, by the time we get home from watching the movie, I cannot shut my eyes to go to sleep, because what if I died? What if I died? Because they always would hammer on the fact that you might have some hidden sins, some sins that you have not confessed to God. And so if you died and there were hidden sins inside of you, because some of these things can hide in there, right? And you died, that's it. You're going to this place. And so that trauma was real for me. And yeah, what I think what I'm trying to say is, if you were to say what you thought were the negative impact of religion on people, on society as a whole, what are the things that you would say are the negative impact? And if there are any positives, why not? I mean, some people reckon religion can give you community, which I doubt that one very much. But some people think it's good for community, it's good for uh, uh, all sorts of things. But what would you say are the negative impact of religion, and if you reckon that there are any positives?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you talk about hell. I mean, I can still remember images that I had in my head as a child of what I thought hell looked like. And obviously, as a child, it's a place that you absolutely want to avoid. You just take it as a given that hell exists and that God has put us in this sort of predicament, as it were. And yeah, it, it was something that drove me to want to pray every night and to do what I thought God wanted me to do um, in order to avoid this. In terms of the negative impacts that it has on society, I think this is probably one of the areas I'm a bit conflicted because personally, I'm not an anti-theist. I'm not someone that I wouldn't, whilst I go on these apps and have debates with theists, that's the kind of platform where, you're free to speak your ideas and, you know, raise objections and criticisms. Whereas, like, if like my neighbors who are religious, I wouldn't go and knock on their front door and try and convince them of atheism. I think um, when it comes to the area that I'm conflicted is the parenting part, because when it comes to parents, I believe that parents should be allowed to raise their child how they wish to. Obviously, within reasons, we have laws against child abuse, and obviously, um, the the concept of hell could be argued as mental child abuse, and I do think it is. Um, and whilst you when you're a child growing up, your parents tell you about Santa, the Tooth Fairy, and you just accept these things as existing, and if as a parent you're teaching your child um, all of the sort of positive aspects of religion in terms of, like you said, the community, and morals and how to be a good person, I think those are okay. Um, because I suppose the on the flip side is, because I don't have kids, and I kind of wonder, like as an atheist, how I would raise my children if they started asking me questions about other people's religions, or asking about death. If someone in the family dies or a pet dies and start asking questions, I'm not going to just tell them the blunt truth. Sometimes these little white lies, as it were, are a sort of protection for a child when they're in that sort of developing stage. So I am actually a bit conflicted on um, in terms of raising children. Um, but in terms of when they reach adulthood or some sort of level of maturity, um, then I think that's where I would want the parent, to allow the child to be able to make their own decision in the same way that my parents, who do believe in God, allowed me to make my own decision, um, and don't judge me for it, or they don't sort of believe that I'm going to go to hell because of my position or anything like that. Um, and that's obviously a pressure for a lot of kids that are growing up in religious families. Um, so as I say, I'm not anti-religious. Like, I'm someone that values truth, but I think in terms of what we value, I think happiness for me would have to be the highest, um, or the most important thing that we should value, because from my perspective, we only get one life. Um, so you may as well spend the majority of your one life being happy for
Mm,
whatever makes you happy. And if religion is something that makes you happy, I don't want to be the person to, be the Grinch and come along and try and take it away from you. So yeah,
mm,
I'm a bit conflicted, but I do recognize the negative impacts, and it's mainly this notion of hell. I think that has to be the most, like, pervasive, and potentially damaging concept, especially at a young age growing up. Yeah, definitely.
mhm. I must say that I am quite conflicted when I came out of Christianity, because I was in a very fundamental uh, version of Christianity, and I came away. I was angry. I was angry, and I wanted to tell everyone who's Christian that you serve a wicked God. Um, but then I think engaging with people and having these conversations, I start to realize that people's experience with religion is very, very different. We all cannot have the same experiences. But what I found was, okay, I made it public. I'm no longer a Christian. I have no beliefs in any God. Now people were, you know, the few people who would engage with me said, "So where are you getting your morals from these days? If you're not getting it from the Bible, um, how are you good without God?" Right? It's as if without this God being, it's as if you become a very toxic human and you can't live your existence without this God. So I'm going to throw this question back to you, Carlos. How are you good without God? And where are you getting your morals from if you don't subscribe to a God belief?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and it's a question that I get a lot from theists, because for a theist worldview, if they were ever to lose their faith, um, from their worldview, it's like as if there would be no morals because all their morals come from God. And if there is no God, to them it seems like there is no morals. And if they became atheists, then perhaps they would go out and start stealing and murdering, raping, or whatever, you know. And it's this sort of nihilistic view that theists have of atheists because they assume that because I think for the majority of atheists, won't be all atheists, but the most atheists will say in terms of meaning, there's no intrinsic meaning, some objective meaning in the universe that we all are supposed to subscribe to. Um, but atheists that take that view will normally go on to say that they make their own meaning in life, and that is their meaning. And maybe from a theistic worldview, they can't see that. And there are many different views that atheists can have. Not all atheists agree. In terms of morals, they tend to be in two camps, either moral realists or moral anti-realists, which is just to say that um, morality is objective or subjective, respectively. Um, and I, for one, am an anti-realist. I think that morals are subjective, meaning to say that they're dependent on minds, whereas objective means it's independent of mind or opinion or any kind of stance. Um, so in terms of morals, um, I think for as I say, every atheist will have different views. My own personal view is that um, a version of the golden rule is something that probably precedes religion, is something that's necessary for societies to even function. Um, there's different versions of the golden rule. Normally, is do unto others as you would have them do unto you,
Hmm.
which I don't actually like, because
Why not?
um, what I like may not be what you like. So
True,
if I treat you
true.
treat you how I want to be treated, that might not correspond with how you want to be treated. So I think a better version of the golden rule is to treat others how they wish to be treated. And
Hmm.
if we work to that principle, then we can function in a society where we respect others' wishes, and that for me would be the most moral society. And it would then follow from that principle such things as, you know, murder is wrong, rape is wrong, helping a lady across the street is moral. You know, if you treat others how they wish to be treated, that is moral. If you treat others how they don't wish to be treated, then for me that's what makes something immoral. A theist would probably come along and say, well, it's just your subjective opinion. Someone else thinks that raping is moral, so therefore you're an impasse, you know, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But um, I don't think I don't think any theist that says that actually genuinely believes that. Um, maybe if they were convinced that God does not exist, maybe they would go through a period of maybe being lost in terms of, you know, what it means to be moral or how to be a good person. But yeah, I ultimately I think that morals are subjective, is to say that they are dependent on minds. If there were no minds that existed, there would be no concept of morality. So,
Mm.
um, but in philosophy, I think the majority of academic philosophers in Western philosophy are actual moral realists, so they do actually believe in an objective morality, um, that there is such a thing as saying something is good or something is moral is a true statement about reality and not just dependent on people's opinions. And they have many different models of morality
Mm-hmm.
that work under an objective model. I don't necessarily agree with them, but that's the thing. It's morality is a kind of subject that's not settled. There's no right answer, and that's why when we come across certain situations, we come to different intuitions about the same thing and have disagreement, and that's it's an unsolved.
So, have you heard of the British values?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
So I think I dropped out there.
You did.
Sorry. Yeah. So
No, no, your
yeah. What
microphone is bad.
is it back now? You can hear me, okay? Yeah.
No, I can hear you, but then it's really yikes.
Quiet.
No, no, that scratching is got really bad now. What did you
Okay.
do, Carlos?
I don't know what happened.
Did you
Um,
touch it?
no, I think I got a call and then
Oh,
I
do you want to come out and come back in?
sure. Okay.
Okay, because it's just gone. Just right. See if we can. Oh, guys, how's everyone doing tonight? Hope you're all doing well. Let's see. I hope I'll be able to see when Carlos has come back in on the stream because we're having a bit of difficulty. Hmm. Let's see. Stop sharing. Hopefully we can. How's everyone doing tonight? I see some of you. I see. Um. I saw Godless Girl. Hello, Godless Girl. I don't think I've ever seen Godless Girl in here before. Who else? Dean Kruger. Good to see you. Carnivorous Abe. Thank you for the conversation the other day. It was such a wholesome conversation, and I would definitely be coming back for more. Yeah, that conversation continues. Carnivorous Ape. Um, right. So, okay, Carlos. Um, we're having a bit of technical difficulties initially, so I'm hoping that we can. Hey, look at the trees. Therefore, God, good to see you. Morality is subjective because it requires a mind to determine if an action is right or wrong. The definition of objective is mind independent. Oh, oh, you hear me, but not okay. How about now? What does it sound like now? How do I sound now? Okay, I hope I haven't lost. Okay, I hope I haven't lost Carlos. Oh, the conversation was going. Sounds good. Okay, good. Um, sounds good. Okay, great. Where is Carlos? I hope I have not lost him. Lost in. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, Carlos. You there? I think we have the same problem we had the first time. Might need to. Carlos, can you hear me? No, not working. Okay, let me do this. Right, can you hear me now? Do you hear me, Carlos? Oh no, this is the problem we were having the first time. Gosh, I can't work this Melon app. It's just not working out for me. I apologize, guys. This app, no sound on Carlos here. Right. Mm, okay, fingers crossed. Any luck? Can you hear me, Carlos? I don't know what on earth is wrong. It's just terrible. Okay. StreamYard. Yes, I know. I usually use StreamYard, but Carlos's internet seems to struggle with StreamYard. That's why we're using this one. Trust me, this is not my streaming platform of choice. No, this is not working out for me. So, right, hopefully we no. Okay, I think I should go out.
Hello?
Yes,
Testing?
I hear you now.
Testing. Hello. I don't know what happened there. It's
Um,
I'm sorry
I
sorry
don't
for
know. But I hear you now, though. I hear you, and
yeah.
it sounds a bit better.
Is it better? Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm using my phone, but I am on airplane mode, so I was hoping to avoid any calls, but that
Mm.
should I've told them to leave me alone.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Sorry about
I
that.
apologize. Does someone want you?
No, nothing important. I'm
Okay.
all yours.
You
I'm all
sure
yours.
about you're all mine?
Yes, all yours.
Right. I hope someone doesn't need you more than we do.
Thank you. But yeah,
Okay.
I can't remember where I got to before I
Oh,
got cut
I
off.
I I remember I have a question for you.
Sure.
So you were talking about you didn't quite like the idea of treating others how you want to be treated, but you would
Sure.
rather treat others how they want to be treated. I have a problem with that,
Hmm.
and I will tell you why I have a problem with that. What if the way they want to be treated isn't quite something that I I I like or now example. This is an example. Um, I remember meeting someone online and had lovely conversation. Met the first time and it was going great. We decided to meet a second time. for a second date. And we got home, and the next thing he says to me, he's got something to tell me. Oh, okay. What could it be? He says he he's a sub. I'm like, okay, what do you mean sub? He says he's a submissive, and he likes dominatrix. He likes dominant people. I'm like, okay, what do you mean by that? He says he wants to be my slave. I said, what does that entail? He said, oh, he doesn't mind a bit of pain, a bit of smacking, everything. I'm like, no, I would not be inflicting pain on anyone. I don't care what it does for you. It's not for me. And then he went further to say that sometimes he likes to wear tights. And I said, tights? What kind of tights? He said, women tights. I'm like, what on earth have I got myself into? Right? So anyway, that was it. I never got back to speaking with him, right? Because I just thought this is a bit too weird for my liking. But I quite like the fact that he was honest, right? But that's what he wants. He wants someone to dominate over him. I'm not that kind of person. So yes, I get the idea of treating people how they want to be treated, but hey, what if they want you to smack them around and to, if they get off on that stuff? Not for me. You can keep your. So I think um I think you've just got to play it by ear, right, Carlos?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some strange people out there that into some weird things, obviously. But I mean, the principle of treating others how they wish to be treated would be reciprocal. So, in order for it to be a moral situation, he would need to treat you how you wish to be treated. If you don't want to be that role-playing dominator in that relationship, then it would be more for them to treat you how you wish to be treated. So it goes both ways.
Right.
Um, Obviously, in a relationship, you want to please your partner, and you would want them to want to please you. And as long as that is reciprocated, then it's the foundation for a good, healthy relationship. But yeah, it goes both ways. So you would have to consent to being this person, otherwise, they're not treating you how you wish to be treated either. So
Mm-hmm.
in that situation, you would, I suppose, come to some sort of compromise. So maybe you do something else to please them. I don't know, but yeah, it would go both ways. I think it's just a principle that I think um, a lot of well, I think you need to have some sort of moral framework in order for society to function.
Mm-hmm.
And many people have different ethics as to what makes a good society. Some people argue for well-being. Some people argue for um, wanting pleasure and avoiding pain. Some people ground their
I
morality in
That's me.
consent.
That's me.
So
Pleasure, no pain.
pleasure, no pain. Yeah,
No.
this is it. So what you see as bringing pleasure to yourself and people you see as moral, and things that inflict pain on you or others you would see as immoral. So yeah, it's people, and obviously you can have your ethics grounded in God, and then that's what makes something good or bad for you. So everyone has their different models or um, perspectives on what makes something good or bad. But I think it's something that's necessary for societies to function. So you have religious countries that their morality is grounded in God, and that's how their society functions. Um, I just feel like the principle or my version of the golden rule is something that would produce better outcomes
Mm-hmm.
overall. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you live in the UK. I do as well. And have you? heard about the British values?
What would you mean? Sorry.
I will tell you. So the British values usually are taught in schools and just places where people are taught an education because they want to introduce these values to youngsters. Um, and the values are democracy, that's number one. Second one is the rule of law. The third one is individual liberty. Number four, mutual respect. Number five, tolerance of those of different faiths and beliefs. In fact, I'm looking at it here. Let me share my screen. So I just wanted to know if these values are something that appeal to you. One second, let me share my screen because when people ask this question, where do you get your morals from? As if we can't have values, as if we can't have morals without their God. But as a people come together and set what they want to live by as a society. And the UK have theirs. The British. Let me share my screen, and you guys will understand. I'm not talking out of my behind. Okay, one second. Let's see. The British values. Here we go. Right. So these are British values: democracy, rule of law, individual liberty, mutual respect, and tolerance of those of different faiths and beliefs. Is this something that will appeal to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would probably, like politically, I would probably identify on the left. Um, I mean, there's different um, strains of the left and the right position. But yeah, all of these values of
Oh, did you
democracy,
see them? Can you see the screen?
I can't see them now.
Oh,
You
I'm
said,
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not sharing it. I keep thinking I'm on. I keep thinking I'm on
StreamYard.
StreamYard. StreamYard will
Yeah,
automatically show it. That's it right there. Sorry.
no problem. Yeah, I mean, all of those would appeal to me. Um, I think the laws that we have in society kind of derive from some ethical framework, and I think the one that I've articulated in terms of the golden rule. I think a lot of these values can correspond with democracy, the fact that everyone uh, gets to participate in society and gets to participate in the decisions. Um, the rule of law,
Hmm.
making sure that these principles are upheld and that there's implications for not following them in order to maintain a stable society. Individual liberty, um, the freedom to live your life how you wish to live it, the one life you have, and have happiness as long as it doesn't inflict or impose on other people's happiness. Mutual respect and tolerance are obviously things that follow from treating others how they wish to be treated. Um, so yeah, I can definitely buy all of these. And when it comes to like morality or ethics or laws, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be areas, grey areas, or where some nuance has to be applied, and it's just not one rule fits all. Because morality is complicated, life is complicated, people are complicated. And I think that it evolves as well, kind of like science as we progress um, in terms of our understanding of the reality that we find ourselves in, um, and we get better at um, in terms of technology and understanding, we get better at it as we move through time. And I think the same is with morality. And I think we are sort of obviously we're not in the best of all possible worlds, but I think there's a trajectory of moral progress in terms of upholding these values. And I think the countries that adopt these types of values um, have better outcomes in terms of the kind of metrics that are looked at in terms of what makes a country successful, in terms of GDP, in terms of crime rates, poverty rates, education, the environment, health, all of these sorts of things. Um, I think has better outcomes than countries that maybe want to take a different type of framework to form a society. But yeah, I would definitely subscribe to all of these.
Right. Fantastic. And this is the point where, guys, if any of you have questions for Carlos or myself, uh, please do ask. Just tag me in the chat, and yeah, let's know what your questions are. Now, my other question to you, Carlos, is okay. This is going to be a very personal question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. So, when I was religious, when you're looking for a mate, there was processes to look for a mate. You had to. It was the man. The man did the searching. The man did the finding, because the Bible says that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. The scripture does not talk about the woman finding anything. She is the one to be found. The Bible also makes people understand that Adam was the one with a rib taken off him to create his mate. So everything boils down to the man. The man has to be the one instigating things. Women just had to sit there and wait for her God given not Prince Charming now, but God given David. Yes, she has to wait for her David. And so, right, the things they would tell us then is when you're looking for a mate, the number one criteria, they've got to be God fearing. That's a no brainer. If they're not God fearing, then just don't bother. Then, depending on what denomination of Christianity you're in, there are other things that you would be looking for. But another thing they would tell you is you've got to pray to God and make sure that it is the will of God, right? Because on earth you are assigned one partner per lifetime. For your lifetime, you're assigned God's perfect will and perfect partner for you, and that is the will of God. So you've got to make sure you verify through God, and make sure the people around you give you confirmation that this is truly of God. I mean, I remember with my ex, we were in church one day. A prophet visited church, and the prophet said he wanted to see me and my ex afterwards. Okay, I was thinking, what does he want to say? And the man looks at me and my ex and says, God said I should tell you that you have both found God's perfect will for each other. That if you had not found each other, you would be living unfulfilled lives. And so you have found your perfect match and perfect will. I'm like, okay. So that used to be loaded over me when there were problems. I'm like, but remember what the prophet said. The prophet said, I am your perfect match. So, for years, that was the thing I hear. So now, Carlos, you're not religious. If you're out there looking for a mate, what do you what do you what do you look for? Are you looking for God? Well, there's no God now, so you maybe Darwin fearing, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I don't think I could be with someone that was who fervently believed in God.
Okay.
If they, I have dated someone that was, she's Muslim, but she wasn't like, she didn't wear hijab. I'm not sure that she was praying 5 times a day, that sort of thing. But she very much believed in God, and I think once or twice, conversation came up, and she just wanted to sort of cut the conversation dead, which is fine. I didn't, like I said, I'm not trying to take people's faith away from them, but I let her know that I was a non-believer, and my reasons why I left Catholicism, um, and not long after that, the dating stopped. So, I personally, I don't think it's impossible for people to have a relationship where they're of different faiths, or one of them's a non-believer. I don't think it's impossible, but I think you'd find it very difficult in the long term to have, um, you know, a meaningful relationship where if you're going to raise kids,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have conflicting views. I think you need, like with any mate, you need to have some things in common, for you to even form a friendship before you form an actual relationship. Um, and I think your religious beliefs will play a huge part in that, which is sad that it does, or that it needs to play a part, and potentially you could be missing out on a successful relationship just because of those differences in beliefs, or where you happen to be at in your lives in terms of I mean, you said that you left Christianity quite recently. So it just so happened now that you don't believe in God, but maybe a few years ago it would have been a lot different depending on the types of people you were meeting. So yeah, I don't think that's something that I could have um, as part of a relationship where someone believes something different. I just look for people that are down to earth, um, and have a
Mm.
sense of humor, and yeah, I think the important thing when it comes to relationships is to have a good friendship to start off with, um, and have that attraction as well. Um, I just don't
Is that
think.
is that what some people call chemistry?
Mm, yes, yeah, I think it's the combination
The
of
spark.
both.
Some people call it a spark. Like, what
Yeah,
on earth are you guys talking about, spark?
yeah. I mean, you can have the attraction, without the friendship, and you can have the friendship without the attraction. And some people manage to have quite long-lasting relationships with that
Mm-hmm.
being the case, But I think the foundations of a good, healthy relationship is to both have a friend, um, and also, yeah, to have that attraction as well. I think you need to have your own life as well. I think you need to have your own friends and your own, you have your own time, and not consume each other's time all the time. I think that's important as well. But yeah, on the religious thing, I'm not sure I could see how that would work long term. Just especially if you're going to raise a family, etc. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't see how that's going to work, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's sad that it is, because, like I say, you could miss out on something that could be, a partner for life,
Mm.
because they tick all the other boxes.
Okay. And what are your ideas around the subject of the LGBTQ topic? I have actually met an atheist who, number one, was misogynistic. Number two, did not subscribe to the whole LGBT thing.
Mm,
I could not understand an atheist who had these uh, ideas. I asked this question because I've heard some people say, um, the N word, right? I usually don't say that word, but the N word, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah? The N
Yep.
word people can be gay, right?
Mm.
Because it's not a thing for a lot of men, that way. So, um, I think you can be whatever you want to be.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can express your sexuality as long as you're sensible, as long as you're seeking consent, as long as you're respecting your mate or mates, because I get it, you don't have to have just the one life, one partner per lifetime. That just doesn't work. That just doesn't work. And yeah, you know
Hmm.
just spreading that the good message and
Hmm.
telling people that, look, you can be who you really are. And the N word people can be gay too. That's my message. So what's your thoughts about the subject?
Yeah, I mean, I have no issues with like the LGBTQ community. I have family members who are gay. Um, I have a neighbour who um, their child is trans, and I've seen them grow up from birth. Um,
Mm,
so and I don't have a problem with people living their, like I said, living their one life how they want to be. And if I'm going by my principle of treating others how they wish to be treated, then I would treat them with no less respect than anyone else that I deal with. And I know that obviously culturally um, things are changing in terms
mm-hmm,
of attitudes, and there are people that are still stuck in an old mindset. And I don't necessarily blame them. I don't judge people for having views that I disagree with, even if I think they're bigoted in some way. As long as they show me respect, I will have a conversation with them, and I will ask them generally what their reasons are for their position. And if if it's, for instance, like the trans issue where someone doesn't want to recognize someone as they identify, then and they don't, typically with the trans issue, it tends to be men changing to women. They don't seem to be taking up much issue with the other way around,
mm.
um, which is telling. Um, but
It is telling.
yeah, but I think, like, for them, a lot of people want to say, I'm not going to call you a woman, or I see sex and gender as the same thing, and therefore, if you're female, then you're a woman. Um, that's a cultural view based on people's upbringing, and I don't think it's fair to judge them just for that. If they're open to talking and hearing different perspectives, then at least we can have a conversation, and I may just ask probing questions as to what they believe, why they believe it, what would happen if someone in their family um, was in this category of people that they dislike or whatever, and it's just try not to judge people.
Mm-hmm,
As long as they pay me respect, then I can at least have a conversation with them, because I think that that's something that we need to do more of, and be just accept that people are flawed human beings. People believe things based on their upbringing, and also based on their what I call nature and nurture. So your nature would be just how you are biologically, how you are psychologically, your mental states. Those things influence your beliefs, and then also your upbringing, your nurture, the experiences you've had, lessons you've learned, and those things form your belief. And if you happen to have been brought up in a racist family, or a homophobic family, or a xenophobic family, then it's normal that you're going to have these beliefs or think that they're at least reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But if as long as that person's showing you respect and they're open to having a conversation about these controversial issues, and I think at least progress can be made. And that's why I enjoy going on apps like Clubhouse, where I'm not the type of person just to sit in a room where people agree with me in some sort of
Mm-hmm.
echo chamber. I'd rather go into a room where I'm the minority view, and I'll engage respectfully with people and have a civil discussion. Um, and I don't react to insults or get emotional. I just try and have a conversation and try and make some progress, and it helps me understand more about why people think that the way that they think. And maybe I'll go away and think, okay, maybe I could have asked this question, or maybe I'll try this approach next time I speak with them. And just to give them a different perspective and get them to think openly about their own position, and if they would be consistent with that view, if it was a family member or their partner or something, depending on what the situation is, and if they're consistent. So yeah, I think obviously when we talk about these controversial subjects, people will get heated and insults will fly and people will get upset and misinterpret what think people are saying when they're maybe just saying something that's completely rational. I think people need to learn that not everyone's going to agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
People see things differently, and what you should try and do is just to try and just for that time put yourself in their shoes, see things through their eyes, and see if there's any merit to their position. Um, like I said, your beliefs are one thing, but your reasons for your beliefs is more important. If you
Mm-hmm.
get people to open up about that, you can then maybe analyze that, and maybe you might have a criticism, and then you can take the direction, the discussion in that direction. So yeah, I think just to answer your question, I think a lot of views that people have that we see as immoral or whatever is just based on people's upbringing and just the way that they are, psychologically or their mental state. Um, Maybe learning disability, could be anything, things that they don't control. Um, and if they're open to discussion and if they're willing to listen to other perspectives, then progress can be made. It may not happen there and then, and you should never expect it to someone to just agree with you straight away, but just give them some food for thought and then maybe befriend them, come back, have another conversation. And it's a gradual thing. It's like me moving to atheism was not something I was just going to be convinced by one argument. It's a gradual thing. And I
Right.
think society is gradually moving on a trajectory towards, you know, when we compare now with 50 years ago, with 100 years ago, with 400 years ago, we can easily see the progress that we've made as a society, and I don't think we'd want to go back.
Okay. So, um, if okay, there's a question in chat. Let's see here. Philip Grant says, African minister Carlos, what is your assessment of the philosophical arguments put forward as evidence for a God by apologists like William Lane Craig? Any thoughts?
Yeah, William Lane Craig. I've not watched too many of his debates. I know that he is a huge proponent of the Kalam cosmological argument, which is some form of argumentation for God, which basically says that everything has a cause for its existence. The universe, sorry, everything that begins to exist has a cause for its existence. And then he concludes that the universe had began to exist, therefore it had a cause, and they want to say that that cause is God. Um, and obviously, that doesn't follow. The conclusion of the argument, of the Kalam cosmological argument, is that there was a first cause. That's the only conclusion that it draws. It could be a God, or it could be some other cause for the universe. It doesn't have to have a mind. I think a lot of the theological arguments that I've heard um, fail for some reason. A lot of them tend to be the same types of arguments that we've heard before, like William Lane Craig, um, and there are responses for these. Obviously, YouTube is quite a popular platform. The internet itself is a good medium for getting ideas out there, and there's a lot of prominent atheists out there um, on the internet and on YouTube that are responding to these arguments. So I went through a period of looking at all different atheist arguments. I don't concentrate too much on the person that's given the argument. I focus more on the argument they're making. And the same for theists as well. I don't care if it's a William Lane Craig or it's
Mm.
some guy on the internet, like or some guy on Clubhouse. Like I just want to hear what your reasons are, and then we analyze the reason. I don't care who's giving the argument. I'm not going to discredit the person just because they're William Lane Craig or whatever. Just listen to the arguments and see if their arguments actually have any merit or not. But yeah, there's a lot of philosophical arguments out there for God's existence. I think for me, the best one is slightly different to the Kalam cosmological argument. It's the contingency argument, which basically says that everything um, everything that exists has um, a reason for its existence or an explanation for its existence, and its existence is contingent on that thing. So you can see it's kind of similar to the Kalam cosmological argument, but the
Mhm.
conclusion of this argument is that if you keep going back in terms of the explanations and reducing everything down, you come to a necessary existence, and that's the conclusion of the contingency argument. And um, I accept that there is a necessary existence, that there always had to be something there, because the alternative is that there was at some point there was nothing, an absolute nothing, and then from that something came, which I don't think follows. Personally, I think there are some people that try to argue for that, but it's not something that I would. So in terms of the contingency argument, I would accept the conclusion that there is a necessary existence, but whether that necessary existence has a mind or not is still up for debate. So um, I can accept the contingency argument, but not
Mhm.
concede to the existence of a God, which is what a theist would want the conclusion to come to, but it obviously doesn't. Um, so as I say, yeah, there's a lot of different philosophical arguments out there, and in terms of like philosophy, I'm still a layman. I'm just an ordinary guy that has a normal job, and when I have some spare time, I read up on stuff and I look into stuff that interests me. And I think that with philosophy, it just helps you to take a look at your own beliefs, why you believe them, and actually can you argue convincingly for your position. You might, I mean, you were drinking from a cup, you believe the cup exists, but could you actually give arguments why the cup exists or why you couldn't be wrong about it? And that's when that's I think the benefits of philosophy has had for me, because it's helped me to
Mhm.
um, it gives you a certain approach to thinking in general. It's not just
Yeah.
religion, anything, any claim that's made, any information that you get on the news, how do you digest it? How do you
Mm.
approach it? And what I feel is that philosophy just helps you be able to filter out all of the bad information and only let the good information come through. And obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but if you apply some rationality, some form of reasoning and logic, which is what interests me about philosophy, I think that can help you lead to more correct outcomes or correct conclusions than not when it comes to evaluating any information or any claim made by anyone.
Okay. Fantastic. So we're going to try and bring this, wind down and start to bring it to a close. But before I do that, I want to show you two very very short videos, just highlighting why I do what I do. Um, and why I feel like religion needs to have pushback. And I want to know what your thoughts are after watching these two really short clips. Okay, so just hang in there. Let me share my screen first. Let's see. Let me take this off here first and then share this. Okay, so that is the first one. So here is a preacher. Can you hear? Can you see it? Oh no, I forgot. I'm not on. I'm
There, yeah.
sorry. Can you see it? No. Okay. So this is a preacher who has somehow convinced his members that he needs to pray for their penises, and he's got to touch it. He's got to pray and cup a feel, you know.
Why not, eh?
I
Wow.
mean, when a preacher can convince people that it's okay to touch their penises in the name of prayers, I mean, this to me is just okay. Let me play the video.
Him in action. He's giving penal healing. Oh my God. Or inject power into all your penises. It's boys continue. Oh, Munkafra. Oh, Kafra. Now, Papa, already been 90. Oh, the headache. Oh, God. Ada used to be up. It's continue. Oh, Munkafra. Oh, angel of healing. Penal healing, pa.
I mean,
Oh, him on koda. Oh, the headache. Oh, blood of Zachariah.
Wow.
so that's video number one. The other video. Let's see. Just hold on 1 second, guys. Right. Let's see. Where are we? Here. Share my screen. I mean, why would you let your pastor do that to you?
Yeah.
So the other one, just 1 second. So I've got to show it on the something else I need to do here. Otherwise, it's not going to. Right. This is another such penile. Um. All right. Let's just. I cannot tell you what on earth is going on here, but hey.
Inside this man, amen. To me, brabeme, powers and ties manhood. Hey, Obi! Obi, boy, hey! Hey! Inside this man, amen. To me, brabeme, powers and ties manhood. Hey, Obi! Obi, boy, hey! Hey!
He's praying for
Wow.
some healing to enter into manhood. On my channel, I've shown some very crazy things. Um, I, I do this because Christianity has become a cancer. To the point now where pastors have to do that. Imagine what they do to the women. You don't want to know. There's some of the things that I have actually shown on here. I even got into trouble once with YouTube. Got a 7 day as for 7 days I could not live stream because I showed a video that was on YouTube. The video was on YouTube, and I reviewed that video of a pastor praying for this young lady, and he was stepping on her private area. But YouTube didn't like the idea because the girl who was on the floor, she looked like she was below 16, right? So that was child abuse. And I reviewed this. I said, but hang on, this video was on your platform. I even sent the link to the original video, but they weren't having any of it. So this is why I do what I do, and it just, we can't stop. I can't stop. Just keep pointing this out. And so after watching that video, Carlos, what do you think?
Well, I think it should have an 18 rating on it for a start. That was
My channel is automatically set
yeah,
to
yeah.
18. It's set from when I started at 18, because I know some of the content from these churches and organizations 18 plus.
Yeah, no, it's quite shocking, to be honest, that people would allow themselves to be touched in that way.
Groped,
Yeah, I
groped.
mean, I'm not sure what kind of justification.
Oh, sugar, what have I done? Sorry, it was me. I
Okay.
pressed something. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that when it comes to the pastor, I'm not sure what kind of justification he gives for people to think that that's acceptable, and whether he actually believes in what he's doing is having any value. I'd probably say he doesn't, and maybe he has some other agenda.
He does. He wants to know who's packing, who's there, who's you know. This is my opinion, is that he wants to know who's the boss down there in his church. You know what I mean? He wants to know whose package is is bigger, so he knows who who is the threat to the women in
Oh
his
dear.
establishment. That's what I think anyway. I may be
Yeah,
wrong, but
yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't. I've seen a lot of these types of videos, not just in Africa. I know it happens a lot in America as well with these mega churches, and they have these pastors on the stage, and they're speaking in tongues, and they're talking to people in the audience as if they know them, and they can maybe they've. I know that they do some tricks where there'll be people that will come and talk to you, just part of the congregation, and then they pass the information on to the pastor, so it makes out like the pastor has some sort of knowledge about you that he couldn't have got any other way.
of
And these types of people, they must know what they're doing. They can't
course they
genuinely
do.
believe in what they're preaching to be objectively true. Maybe some do, maybe some are convinced, but I think if there's other incentives, especially like monetary ones, then that would be a more reasonable explanation as to why they're doing the things that they're doing. But I honestly don't believe that the pastors themselves are convinced of what they're preaching, because they wouldn't be doing this sort of thing. That's
I
just
mean,
crazy.
no, that for me, these videos that we watched, that for me shows a pastor. He clearly knows what he's doing. He knows that he's got no healing power, no miraculous power. He's just is he's sick in the head,
Mm, mm.
and he somehow finds himself in a position of pastor now. And yeah. Oh,
No,
Carlos, it's
it's,
been. Oh yeah, just 1 second. I saw a comment. This comment got me. 1 second. Let's see here. This is a comment by Scapegoat Iscariot. Says, um, Jesus grabbed people by the crotch. Just because the gospel doesn't say he did, doesn't mean he did not. I assert that Jesus is a crutch grabber.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I think that's
Well,
our cue to say,
yeah.
what do
I
you
mean,
say? What do you say to that? Oh
no.
my goodness.
All I can say is keep doing this work that you're doing, and because obviously, for someone like me growing up in the UK, the
Hmm.
UK is the majority of the UK is non-religious and is it's a secular
Yes.
country, and I don't take it for granted that I'm fortunate um, to grow up in a country where atheism is accepted and is normalized. Um, and I do try and put myself in the shoes of people in these kind of countries where these kind of things happen, and people that have these doubts and that might be an atheist wouldn't be able to be a normal atheist in the same way that I
Hmm.
am. So um, I definitely commend the work that you're doing and highlighting these kinds of practices that are still going on in 2022, which is crazy to believe.
It is.
And yeah, I definitely what you're doing in terms of like normalizing atheism. Hopefully, people from the same sort of background will see your content, and maybe they'll they agree with some of the things that you're saying, and maybe some of the things that they've been thinking about a while, and when they see people like you doing these sorts of things, they say obviously there's other people like me, like-minded people, and the internet is such a powerful tool to spread information, and I think generation after generation will start to see people who have access to this information to um, you know look outside of their bubble, because it is a bubble that they're trapped in, and especially in countries where it's not normal to be an atheist. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, definitely commend what you're doing, and yeah, keep up the good work. Absolutely.
Thank you. So I'm sure there'll be people who would want to find out how they can connect with you, how they can, come and listen to some of the conversations that you have over on Clubhouse, which I would say, go ahead. You need to go and listen to uh, Carlos in his conversations. So if anyone wants to link up with you, where can they find you?
Well, I'm mainly on Clubhouse nowadays. I used to go on like YouTube streams like yours to discuss certain topics, but I enjoy just engaging like one-on-one uh, in on Clubhouse. So you can find me on Clubhouse, Karlos Jeffers. Um, I'm happy to talk to anyone, whatever your positions are, or answer any questions. Um, you'll see some of the interactions that I have with theists generally go pretty well, I think, because,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I'm not an anti-theist. I'm not necessarily trying to pull people away from their religion, but I'm just encouraging critical thinking and people that value the truth or value truth itself, and want to analyze their own positions. Those are the kinds of conversations that I have. I feel like I'm very patient with people. I mean, I've had a background in complaint handling, which is a bit weird, but it does actually translate over to what I do, because in a complaint handling background, you're dealing with people that are making claims, about something that's happened to them. You need to find out whether it's true or not. You get people that are angry or emotional, and you have to learn how to deal with people in different situations and control the conversation, so that it doesn't, go off the rails, and that you actually get something productive out of it. And that's all I try to do, really. And like I said, I only have conversations with people that value truth, and I try to use the techniques that I've learned in philosophy about how to evaluate things without a bias, asking questions about these unanswered things, such as where does everything come from, what is consciousness, what is the correct theory of time, all of these kinds of questions that are unanswered. I do like to get involved in those, and for anyone that's not been on Clubhouse, I definitely recommend it. And there's different types of topics that you can select so that you get certain types of rooms, and you'll get like-minded people. And there's wonderful people on there. And obviously, I've met Esther on there about 6 months ago, and I've really enjoyed our conversations on there and here tonight. So thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And make sure that this is not the last time you're on the Afro Humanists channel. And of course, I will always connect with you on Clubhouse, because you do an amazing job talking to theists, and trying to make sense of conversations and normalizing atheism. So thank you for what you do. So, guys, before I go, um, quick show of maybe quick show of emoji. There's 12 of you watching. How many of you would like to see another G-Man video? I know some of you have said you don't want G-Man, but my goodness, G-Man has been getting himself in some serious trouble, and there's some things he has said that are very, very troubling. He said that women think that being raped is the worst thing that can happen to them. He does not think that a woman being raped, that's the worst thing that could happen to them. He reckons that going to hell is the worst thing that can happen to women. I heard that, and I was outraged. I just thought, my goodness, this is the reason why this guy he's toxic. He's absolutely toxic. Why would you say uh Doug says no. Doug
Yeah,
says nope, don't do it.
yeah. I mean, you've spoke. I've heard you mention this G-Man quite a few times on your
Oh
channel.
gosh, oh,
Have
you
you
don't
ever
want to.
have you ever had him on your
Oh,
channel before?
I'm not. I don't plan to. I I do not plan to. I look. Me and you've had this awesome conversation. It's gone great. He doesn't know how to have a decent conversation. He's hopeless at it.
Yeah,
And I everything's about a debate for him, and I don't debate. I don't do debates. So me and him just won't. We won't. I don't
won't be.
think it'd be a
Yeah,
good conversation. So
won't be
no,
productive. No.
no. Right, says I'm only interested in the trouble Jim Han gets himself. If he's gotten in some trouble, or if he has spouted some nonsense that's illegal and bordering on it, I will listen. Yeah, he's been in some serious trouble, and some people have really come for him, and he deserves it, in my opinion. So anyway, we'll see how we get on. I know most of the people here on my channel like the content from Africa, and how uh, religion over in Africa, how that what that looks like. So there's still plenty to do there. There's plenty. There's a video which I will be bringing out today or tomorrow. Just watch this space. This pastor has received keys from heaven. A key has dropped from heaven, one key dropped from heaven, and somehow that one key has transformed into so many keys, and now these keys are for sale because they're keys from heaven. So, gosh, keys from heaven.
Gosh.
Oh, I know. It's right. Other than that, I have no interest. Okay, all right. I get it. I completely get it. Uh, right, guys. Thank you all very, very much. And Carlos, thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And yes, please, guys, if any of you is on Clubhouse, look for Carlos Jeffers, and the giveaway is the Darwin photo. That's the giveaway, right,
Yep,
Carlos?
yep. Look out for the Darwin logo. You'll see me on there.
Yes, that's
But
the
yeah,
that's the giveaway. And so, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, because some of you it's still afternoon. Here's it's gone past 10, right? So, thank you all very much. And because I'm on Melon and don't know how to do uh outro videos on here, I would just end this live stream and I will catch you all tomorrow. I'll be back again tomorrow. And yeah, thank you all very much and good night. Good night, everyone. And please do not forget to thumbs up the video, share, and if you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please make sure to subscribe and turn your notification bells. The video, the pastor and his keys that dropped from heaven, yeah, I'm working on it now, so it should be coming out any moment soon. So make sure to look out for that, and I will see you all tomorrow. And good night, everyone. Good night. Okay, how do you end this? Right, night, everyone.
thank you.
Bye.